Welcome into Forte Catholic. I'm so excited that you're here. Are you as excited as I am right now? John Blevins and I recorded a great show today. We talked about Jesus needing the help of people, which I think says a lot about people needing the help of God and other people. We also played a new game. It's like a Christian podcast name generator. So we came up with one for myself and for all of the other co-hosts. So much fun. It was a great show. I hope that you guys enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe if you're listening on the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And if you're on the opposite, subscribe on the other one as well. Podcast 3 is you're on the go. YouTube, you get to see what we're doing while we're saying words. Subscribe everywhere. Enjoy today's show. What's up? And welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll. That is Jonathan Lene, Bearded Blevins. Welcome back to the show, buddy. It's been a whole month.
I know. Did you miss me?
I didn't.
I know. I missed you, though.
Like, what's good is I feel like this feeling is probably mutual. Like, I play video games with Father Anthony, but that's not like, like doing work, right? Yep. I feel like the amount that we can all tolerate each other is about an hour and a half a month. Wow. So I feel like, like it's nice for me to only see you a month. It's probably nice for you to only see me once a month. Like, I know the ladies feel that way. They're like, I can only take Taylor for like an hour every month. And sometimes the recording takes an hour and a half, and it's just a little too much.
That's probably true for me with the podcasting with you. But like playing, I could hang out with you for like 5 hours a week.
Well, we don't, and we haven't ever. So
okay, well, let's play more Fortnite.
You keep saying that, and you never actually invite me. Just like you didn't invite me to your March Madness party.
This is going
and
great.
You're like, oh, I'm so mad at you. You're not coming. I'm just telling you literally today. It's in 2 weeks.
This will make the podcast, but I did offer to buy his flight like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah. You invited me to something that is in 2 weeks just now. I have a life.
Dude, you're a guy. That's actually way too much advance. I should have probably waited another week.
No,
Is that an icicle on your beard? You're still in Texas, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's an icicle on my beard. No, I'm sweating. It's back to Texas, dude. Like, okay, so we can't talk too much about the winter storm because I yelled about it for the last 2 weeks on the show. Okay. But the irony of it being 87 degrees here today when it was 6 a week ago is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy. Honestly, something similar happened to me.
What do you mean?
I
You're hot now?
In the same day was at negative 20 degrees with the wind chill. And on that very same day was having dinner on the beach at 80 degrees. It was incredible.
So I'm guessing you flew somewhere.
I went to Florida for the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
There you go. You did go to Florida for the Super Bowl. And I don't think I said this on the show yet. I was really proud of you. I just assumed that when you were going to the Super Bowl, that it was because of your brother, Tyler, because you've got it's not just like I was just assuming you're not a good person or you're not successful or whatever. It's just like usually you've gone to like Lions games. You got to go on the field because of your brother.
Yeah.
And here you are going to the Super Bowl, all expenses paid trip, on your own merit because of Super Squares. I was so proud of you. I really am.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
You're a good
That's
dude.
all I have to say about it. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, like it's so funny. You more than any of the other co-hosts. Like most of the time, like when I stop talking, like I know that like Father Anthony is going to speak for about 2 minutes and then it's going to be back to me. Allison, I know that it's going to be short and choppy until she gets in a roll, and then she's going to preach for like 6 minutes until I talk again.
Okay.
Liv, I know that I have to stop her, otherwise she would literally talk for the entire rest of the segment if I didn't interrupt her. With you, it's interesting because it's like you could just say "yup" whenever I want you to like respond to what I said, or you could talk for like 8 minutes, and I'd never know which it is, so I'm most thrown off by the "uh-huh," and then the 4 seconds of silence. Did you freeze? I literally thought you froze.
I was doing a bit. I said, it's true. You didn't hear me. I said, it's true. And then I just was quiet for 4 seconds.
Well, I'm glad I realized it was a bit because I was about to say something that I wasn't supposed to because I thought you froze and I was going to be really upset.
Oh, never. I've got the little bleep button here. Let me know if I need to use it.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that. So I do love that you guys come and help on the show. Like, it's crazy that it's been like over 2 years since we've had like this rotation of co-hosts on the show, and it's interesting because it doesn't feel like that because y'all have only been on like 24 episodes each, right? but it's been 2 years because that's how math works, right? And like it's been so nice for me over the last couple of years to like have some help. Like it's nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of or to say things, and like other than when you just say "yup" and pause and stare at me for 8 seconds. Like it's helpful to have co-hosts on. I was actually thinking about like the idea of like needing help the other day. So here we are in Lent, and I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but like the whole point of Lent is we're looking forward to and preparing for Holy Week. And as I trademarked 2 years ago, it's Holy WEAK for me because I'm not really good at it. But
how is one good at Holy Week?
Be holy during that week.
I feel like that's actually probably my best week every year. But continue.
Well, yeah. So not for me. I don't think I have a good week within the year.
It's like my only one. I don't know why. For some reason, Holy Week, I'm just like, I'm just like able to do Holy Week. I don't know.
It's probably because you go to church multiple times in that week and something about grace and sacraments or
probably.
Something. Oh, you just said probably, which is like something that you say a lot in TikTok videos, and I was just happy that I got to see it live in person.
Do I really?
Probably.
Now I'm gonna think about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in your head now.
I ate that rent free.
So I've during Lent, like I've mentioned over the last 2 weeks, like I'm not even sure if I'm doing Lent this year because like we all gave up power and food and electricity and Wi-Fi for a week and a half. Like I think we're done. It's the 54th week of Lent. Like Lent is just hard. But this week I tried. I was like, okay, I'm gonna. Did I tell you my Lenten thing yet?
No.
I'm just going back to Mass on Sundays because it hasn't been a requirement for over a year.
Yep.
So I'm just like, I'm going to go back to Mass. So I went to Father Anthony's Mass on YouTube this weekend, which, by the way, great Mass, great homily. But he did something in that Mass that my wife and I, who were watching it, we died laughing. He made a huge mistake, and I actually surprised him, and I did a roast video of him, showing him the video with him reacting to it live on YouTube. You can check that out.
Oh my gosh, I will.
It's called The Roast of Father Anthony Sciarappa, 20 minutes of... it's a 20-minute video. I make fun of him for 19, and then I tell him how his homily almost made me cry right at the end as a compliment. So, like, I think it's one of the greatest videos we've ever done. It was so much fun. So you can check that out on youtube.com/Forte Catholic. But so I started going to Mass, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to start thinking about Lent more. And usually, like at the beginning of Lent, you're like, oh, it's going to be a long trek. It's the desert. And I usually don't think about Holy Week this early. But I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about Simon of Cyrene. You know who that is.
Yeah. He helped Jesus.
Thank you. Now you're. I'm so mad at you. I would rather you just say yup than like. Yep. Then like be a jerk and be like, he helps the Jesus.
Yep.
So I was just thinking about it that like Jesus is God. That's not a thing that people are surprised to hear, right? Atheists disagree, but like they know that people say that. So we believe that Jesus is God. And like the fact that like we've all heard the Simon of Cyrene story at least once a year since we've been Catholic, as you said, for me, since I've been, able to understand logical sentences. And it just dawned on me, I think because I've been in like a 3-week span where I've needed help. Like we needed a place to stay when our heater wasn't working. It was 49 degrees in the house, and somebody helped us. Like somebody was like Simon of Cyrene to us. Not saying that I'm God, but like God is within each one of us. So like them helping us, like they did it as a service to us, obviously, but they're also Christian people and they wanted to be helpful, right?
Yeah.
And kind of the community rising up to help. Like there was a bunch of like young families that got places to stay because our community cared. And it was wild because like we haven't had community for a year. And then this other tragedy happens and it's like we have to, the community rallied around. It was just really cool. I love where we live. But I was just thinking about like, I think for a grown adult male, like asking for help and or receiving help can sometimes be difficult. And I just couldn't get over the fact that God needed help, which is kind of a weird sentence to say, right? But like Jesus was carrying his cross, and like you could say, yes, he's fully God, fully man, and like the humanity in him needed help, right? He was physically hurt, he was exhausted, he had been beaten, he's carrying this cross like an impossible task, And he keeps falling. He's falling. They're tired of him falling. And they pull up this random guy to come help him. And it was just imagining God needing help to carry his cross. And yet I try to carry my cross on my own so often. And I've just been sitting with that for a few days.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's funny. This might be like the one time that you're more mature than me in when thinking of like examples of things. Because if you would say like, John, when name a time that God needed help, I'd be like, oh, like Mary wiped his butt. He probably fell and scraped his knee. Mary probably cleaned that. And you go right to the cross.
Well, it's not Christmas season. It's Lent season.
Right to the cross. That's true. It's what's interesting, as you were talking, I was thinking of like, do I like self-reflecting? Do I need do I have a hard time asking for help? And my first thought was like, nah, I really don't. Like there are things that I'm not good at, and I just know I'm not good at it. So I have no problem calling a buddy and be like, hey man, can you like cut this piece of wood so that my wife can like hang a picture? Like no problem. Not a big deal. Hey man, like, can you come over and help me brew beer? Like I'm not great at it. No problem. And as you kept going, I was like, man, but like, if I lost my job, I would not ask for help. I would not call anyone and be like, hey, I really need help. Like I would have a hard time with that. So
yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking like it was so easy for me to accept help from this person who offered us their house that had power and heat. It was so easy for me to do that. And I think one was just because like I was miserable, but the reason it was so easy was that like my family was miserable. Like they were hurting, right? Like they were cold. They were shivering. It was 40 in the 40s in our house, and they're sleeping by the fire. And my wife's up all night, keeping the fire going. It was just a difficult time for my family. So like seeing them struggle and seeing them suffer, and like me not being able to do anything about it because not nobody, but most 95% of our community couldn't do anything about it. We couldn't help each other because we were all in the same situation, right? But then somebody offered help, and like yes, I will go to your house. This is a huge thing. I mean, it's like a really, really, really nice house. Biggest, nicest house we've ever spent a few days in, right? Yeah. And like that would usually be a hard thing. Like, on a random Monday through Thursday, oh, hey, you want to come stay at our house? It's like, we're good. It's kind of, but it's like, when my family was hurting, it was like, I can do this. But then I started thinking, like you were saying, we can ask for help on like things that we're not good at. Like I've gotten a ton of help and training on like video editing over the last year because I wasn't good at it. Now I've gotten better at it because a lot of people have helped me and they've been really generous with that. But when it comes to like, if I had to ask for help because I couldn't solve an audio problem, because I like pride myself in being the person that can fix all audio problems, like that would be hard, right? And you're like, so like, maybe we're just speaking for guys. Maybe women are the same way. But like, I know for guys, because I've talked to enough, that like where you take your pride, even like healthy pride, right? Like you have a healthy pride for the job you have and the things that you do. I have a healthy pride for my job and all these things. Those are the things that I think are really hard to ask for help for, like losing your job, because then you're feeling, I'm not, maybe I'm projecting my stuff onto you, but like, am I a failure? Am I supposed to provide for my family? Like these core things that we know that we're supposed to be doing, it's harder to ask for help. And here's Jesus, whose like core thing was love, leadership, leading people in faith. Like, there's a lot of core things, but I'm thinking specifically for while he's carrying the cross, right? Like he's supposed to be this leader that people look to, and now people are looking to him as not even a follower, like literally somebody being tortured by the leaders in the scenario, the Romans, right? Yeah. And he can't do anything about it other than just keep going. And then at some point he can't even keep going, right? To where he needs help. And I'm like, that's something that like, that was Jesus's mission. That's where he could have taken pride in. And like, that's what I've been sitting with of like, man, if God needed help in that situation, like I started thinking about the more serious things that I kind of close off for things that I don't want to ask for help for. And like, how do I navigate starting to ask for help for some of these things? Yeah,
my wife the other day, I was doing some meal prep with her, and she goes, I don't know how it came up out of nowhere. She's like, wow, it's been like a year since you went to spiritual direction. You doing okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I don't need it.
Right.
And then my head, as soon as I said that, I was like, I should probably reach out. I really don't want to do like Zoom spiritual direction. And that's like been the only option for this year. So I need to get back to it. But yeah, so when you said like that healthy pride, it is good. I think that where the healthy pride ends though, is exactly where not asking for help begins. Like that's where the bad pride is, right? And anytime that I'm not going to ask for help, that's when it becomes the bad kind of pride. So yeah, this is like 2 people in a week, and I got to go back to spiritual direction. Is that what this is about? Did
100%.
Jody call you?
She did. Yeah. She was like, we need to do an intervention. She'll actually be here in a second. I'm going to invite her into the video.
Oh, great.
No, I just gotcha. No, but like the other thing that I was thinking was that like Jesus actually didn't, like, we're talking about asking for help, and I think that's the point, but Jesus didn't ask for help. Simon of Cyrene was forced to help this person that he didn't know, right? And I started thinking about like how things can, even when we're not asking for help, God can still intervene and try to help us, right? I joked, I think last week's episode, that like if like a counselor ever listened to this podcast, they'd be like, that guy is like textbook insane. With all the things that we learned about, like this guy has most of them, right? All the idiosyncrasies and all that kind of stuff. And I said that kind of jokingly, but I think the reason that like counseling has been on my mind for so long is that I now edit 5 professional counselors podcasts. So like I have avoided, for years, I 100% avoided talking about my feelings and like wounds and things that hurt me and all this kind of stuff. And I think this is my purgatory now, because I spend like 5 to 8 hours a week listening to people talk about mental health and counseling and healing from wounds. And I'm just like, leave me alone. This hurts. I don't want to think about it. Like I've just avoided it for so long.
Feelings.
And
I don't have feelings, Taylor.
Yeah, just anger, which is the only anger and laughter, like joy, are the only 2 feelings I had until about 5 years ago. And I started branching out into other feelings, and it was scary. But it was just interesting how that like, it's kind of similar to like a Simon and Cyrene thing. Like I didn't ask for help. Like I did not go to counseling. I've never been to counseling. I haven't gone, but there has been a lot of healing coming from, like, I'm listening to essentially like 5 to 8 hours of like counselors talking about how to be healthy. And obviously like I'm implementing some of that stuff into my life. So it's like, they didn't ask to be part of my life, just like Simon Cyrene didn't ask to help. He didn't want to carry that cross. And Jesus didn't ask for help, but like there's still healing happening, and how like God's still in control, even in moments where it doesn't look like he is. Like when God is being tortured and killed and humiliated, like he was still in control. And yeah.
That if you tweet that on Good Friday, it's gonna blow up.
Which part? Yeah,
anything
that's
about
how I've
God
ended my life.
Anything about Jesus being tortured and then ending it with God is in control.
Well, good. Don't steal that. Nobody listening can steal that. It's mine.
That's yours.
TM, trademark. Not the other TM on Twitter that we don't like. Trademark. The other thing that I was thinking about, like within this realm of conversation, was like, so obviously this is like, when it comes to people helping each other, and like Simon helping Jesus, and like this family, this lady helping our family stay warm in the snowpocalypse, and just kind of the lack of community that we've had over the last year. I was listening to another podcast that I also edit. It's probably one of the counselors. They all run. I can't give attribution because there's 20 podcasts that I'm editing, and I don't know who said what, because I'm usually in a trance, doing my job. But they pointed out, like, all they said was like, they're talking about the Our Father. And that is a prayer, just like, Lent we've all been through, Simon Cyrene we've all been through, like Stations of the Cross we've all been through, but we've all prayed the Our Father probably thousands of times. And my entire life, I just hit my microphone, I'm so excited about this. My entire life, I never realized that it says Our Father, not my Father. Because like, obviously, like when we're at Mass, we say Our Father because we're a community. But like the fact that we say Our Father, like even when I'm praying by myself, I say Our Father. First of all, I just realized how kind of crazy that sounds. Like, do I have multiple personalities?
Yeah.
But the thing that I started thinking about was that like it's been no secret to anyone that my personal prayer and personal spirituality has struggled over the last year. That if you've listened to any episode of this show, you know that that's been going on.
I almost made a joke about that earlier.
I'm trying, but it's been rough. But I started thinking, like this realization kind of gave me some grace, not taking like any of like all of my responsibility for my own prayer life, my own personal spirituality, but like the fact that when they asked Jesus, how should we pray? And he told them as a group, pray like this: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And that's been the basis for Christian prayer ever since Jesus said that. The fact that it's not my Father, it's not just this personal thing and personal prayer. Like our personal prayer and personal spirituality flows from our communal prayer as Catholics, flows from the Mass, flows from the Eucharist, flows from being together as a community, like flows from saying Our Father. But when we haven't said Our Father together consistently in a year, the my Father and my relationship struggles, right? Yeah. So again, not saying that like I'm blaming this all on the pandemic or I'm blaming this all on whatever. I'm just realizing the importance of praying together as a community for our own personal prayer. I've seen that connection stronger now because of this disconnect than I ever did whenever those two were connected.
Yeah, I agree. That's well said. Jody and I, maybe, I don't know when it was, honestly, a month or two, maybe. What just happened? Christmas? Probably around Christmas, we started.
Why are you still on Christmas? You're like baby Jesus and butts
Christmas.
and
so
every day is Christmas.
Every day is Christmas. Okay, that's why I've already had 5 Christmas cookies today. It's not true. I haven't had any cookies today, but
good joke.
Around Christmas is when Jody and I started bringing the family back to Mass every week. Because it's easy. It's amazing, right? I work in the church as a director of evangelization. It's so easy crazy how easy it is to just be like, oh, we don't have to go. like you could just stay home and sleep and watch it on TV or whatever. And our family dynamic just in the last 2 months to 3 months has been 10 times better since going back to Mass on Sundays. And so, yeah, I'm right there with you, like same. And my personal prayer is better than praying with it, even though I get super annoyed with all the masks on and everything. And like, just, there's so many, it's so weird. It still doesn't feel like Mass to me. But even just being there with other people, whether you know them or not, and praying that Our Father together, it's cool. It's been amazing for me in my prayer life.
Well, good. This is a good conversation. So 2 little takeaways from this. One, again, if you just want to laugh and like kind of experience my Lenten thing of going back to Mass, even though it's digitally, the Roast of Father Anthony Jarapa, go find it at youtube.com/Forte Catholic. The other thing that now that we're in Lent and like since I've been thinking about Simon Cyrene, I've been thinking about the Stations of the Cross. When I was in college, I wrote reflections for the Stations of the Cross built for like young adult audiences, and they've been used with like young adult groups and parishes and youth groups all across the country. And I shared those years ago, like in text form, and then last Lent, Father Anthony and I got together and recorded them, kind of like, me being the layperson, him being the priest, and it's also available on YouTube and on the podcast too. So there will be links down in the show notes below if you want to pray the Stations of the Cross with us. That'd be great. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere because John hates the name of the show, and we're going to see if we can brainstorm some other ideas. We'll be right back.
I'm nervous.
Catholic Match. Online dating is the new normal. So many people are doing it now. I'm too old to have experienced it. I feel like I missed out. My wife is sitting right next to me, and I think she knows that I would have been good at it. So she had to lock me down before online dating started. But if I was not happily married with 3 kids, I would be on Catholic Match so that I could become happily married with 3 kids. It's faith-focused dating. A lot of this is happening online now. They have a lot of great things in their app. Video conferencing, you can meet new people, and you can even go on a date in video. You don't have to meet some weirdo on a Tinder date. Whoops, was I supposed to mention Tinder? Oh no. You don't have to meet a weirdo out in the middle of nowhere, but you can meet somebody right there on the app. You know that they're Catholic, and you get to see what they actually look like, which can be a thing on online dating. Catholic Match is the largest dating app specifically for single Catholics. So create your Catholic love story today by heading over to catholicmatch.com/Forte to sign up for free today. It's free. What are you waiting for? Find a way to find your love. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll. That is Jonathan Bearded Blevins.
Hi, how are ya?
Sure. so we were all together. Me and all 4 co-hosts were all together on Game of Favorites. We talked about it a ton. But this is your
won?
I don't remember.
Me neither, actually. It was me.
I remember that I just lost. We talked about the roast of Father Anthony Sciarappa last week. Maybe that was my revenge because it was just the roast of Taylor Schroll the whole time. It's like, let's get all my friends together. And then I was just roasted for an hour and a half. That was awesome.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was the nicest. Out of everyone, I was the nicest to you.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was.
You were like, I hate everything about. You're like, Taylor, I love your podcast, but I hate the name, which you shared before, and you were like, no one knows what Forte means. And I've explained it multiple times, and you still say that you don't remember. So I think you just do it to make me angry.
Okay, that's fair, I suppose. But I went back, I saw it. No, I was so nice to you. I affirmed you literally over 20 times.
No, you were such a jerk. I don't think you affirmed me once.
Oh my gosh, go back and watch it.
You can all watch it. Forte Catholic on Game of Favorites on youtube.com/Forte Catholic. So the biggest thing, like you were just like, I hate the name. It's so stupid. I'm like, thanks for,
Never said that. I never said it was stupid.
Last segment, we were like, things you take pride in. Like me is like this, ministry and nonprofit that I've built up that I've named Forte Catholic. You're like, that's dumb, So like, something I take pride in.
Never said it was stupid. I never said it was dumb.
You're just like poke. So I saw this thing the other day, and we haven't been on the show together since that Game of Favorites episode. So, but I found this last week, and I was like, I know we have to do this with John. So here's what this is. This was a joke that was going around. I found it in like the Catholic Creatives Podcasters group. A bunch of Catholic podcasters all shared information and support and stuff. But this is called your Christian podcast name. It's like a name generator thing. Okay.
Okay.
This is originally by at Wrecked Wretch, which I like. That's a great name I think it's on Instagram. So here's what we're going to do, Jonathan. Before we do mine, we're going to look at yours. If you had a podcast name using this generator, what would Jonathan Blevins' podcast be named?
Okay.
The last text that you sent. So pull up your phone. What's the last text you sent to anybody? Literally the last text that you sent. Plus your birth month. And I have the list here. So you read me your last text, and so there's like, how there's like there's always like a colon and then like the rest of the title. There's like the title and then the subtitle, like Forte Catholic, make Catholicism fun again, that sort of thing, right? So why don't you read me the last text that you sent?
Okay. The last text that I sent was to you, and it said, ready.
Okay. You texted me ready, and your birth month is what?
September.
Okay. So your podcast name, Christian podcast name, would be Ready, a Christian hip-hop discussion.
Oh, no. Dude, remember that one time I talked about Christian hip-hop?
I do, and you said you hated it.
No, I never said no. I didn't say I hate it. I said I don't like when Christian hip hop artists message me at a parish asking if they can come speak or rap or whatever. But it wasn't just them; it was anyone.
Sure. I think you also said that you think Christian hip hop is dumb and stupid, just like the name Forte Catholic. We love Brandon Morell, though. He, all the music that you dance to in and out of every segment that you actually can't hear, and I revealed that on the show last week that y'all are just dancing to music you can't hear now.
That's true.
My favorite part of recording the show is watching you guys dance to literally nothing. Brandon Morell, Be the Symbol, great Catholic hip hop artist that we love because he gives us all of our tracks.
I love you too, buddy.
So explain this show to us. What would this show be? Ready, a Christian hip hop discussion hosted by Jonathan Blevins.
I'm supposed to tell you what I think that would be about. I'm supposed to pretend this is a real thing.
Yeah, it is a real thing. It's 100% a real thing, and you have to pitch my listeners on why they should listen to it.
Well, you should listen to Ready, a Christian hip hop podcast. Is that what it is? One more time.
Yep.
Okay. You should listen to that because, first of all, I'm very well versed in hip hop. I love hip hop. I grew up listening to it. Actually, the first hip hop song I ever fell in love with was Puff Daddy. I know he's since changed his name a couple of times, but Puff Daddy singing a song about Notorious B.I.G. remixing whatever that other version was. Every breath you take. That whole thing. Yeah. I know you in heaven smiling down I love that song. And it was very sad. And I didn't really know who Notorious B.I.G. was at the time, but then started listening to him and Tupac. And so I love hip hop. Got into Eminem a lot. He's still one of my favorite rappers ever. But I don't like what a lot of hip hop stands for sometimes. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And so it would be cool. Like one of my biggest prayers is like Eminem to become Catholic. Like if Eminem became Catholic, it would just be one of the coolest things ever. I pray for him all the time. He's like that. Well, I don't know if you have one, Taylor, but I have like this one. Like he's the guy. If we can get him to become Catholic, it would just be the coolest thing.
Yeah. That was a really long and strange pitch for why people listen to your podcast. You're not done?
I'm not done.
You can finish. I'm going to let you finish, but Beyonce had the greatest album of all time.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm not done.
It's ironic because I'm the Taylor in this situation.
So I'm not going to name names, but Toby Mac, I was not a huge fan of at all growing up. Somebody who is a Christian hip hop artist, right? And I've just never really gotten into people
DC Talk is the greatest Christian group of all time.
Okay, I've not heard of that, but I'm open to listening. And I actually saw
Toby Mac is the front man.
Okay, I saw him live. And I ended up liking him a lot more live than I did, listening to him as I was growing up. But here's the thing: I have learned that I like rappers who are Christian more than I like Christian rappers. Does that make sense? I like NF a ton. I think NF is one of the best rappers in the world right now. He has a ton of Christian undertones and even a couple songs that very explicitly Christian, but it isn't this like Andy Mineo is another really good example. Somebody who I think he's kind of transformed into that. Like he's a rapper who is a Christian. I find that, and I'm like that with all kinds of music. So like Mumford & Sons, like people who have Christian undertones, but they're not a Christian band. And so this podcast would be incredible to listen to because we would dissect all of that and find out who really is the greatest Christian rapper of all time. Ready.
But people just tuned out of my podcast listening to you talk about yours. That was way too long and tough. Like, wow. It needs some editing. I know a good editor. I'll get you in touch.
Wow. You didn't even tell me that I had like a time limit.
You ever heard like an elevator pitch? Like when you pitch something, like when you pitch like your stream, do you talk to people about it for 5 minutes? Or are you just like,
pitch my stream. I just say live.
You're the worst. All right. Here we go. Here's my podcast. You ready? My birthday is in October, so I have the line here. The last text message that I sent was also to you, and it was nice! ! So here's the name of my podcast. Nice! ! A church in crisis.
Oh, that's close to home.
What's funny is the nice that I sent you was really sarcastic because we were supposed to start recording at noon and I'm on a time crunch. You're just like, it's noon 03. And I'm like, oh, I just woke up from a nap. And I said, nice, sarcastically. So the title is very sarcastic. Nice, a church in crisis. Because if I'm ever going to tackle, people know that listen to this show. If I was going to branch off and do like a church in crisis podcast, it would mostly be me making jokes to try to mask the pain of dealing with the church in crisis.
Amen.
And then having 2 real thoughts at the end. So it would just be a spin-off of this show that wouldn't be as fun.
So it would just be catching foxes.
No, not at all. Don't associate me with that, please.
Now you got to edit that out.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, great.
That's staying in, just like the the TM from last segment. Okay, so the other thing, I knew that we couldn't just do. First of all, do you like nice? A church in crisis is a better name for Forte Catholic, or are we keeping Forte Catholic?
No, although I'm going to be honest with you, I would have a ton of fun, and it would be probably sinful to do that podcast with you. Nice, a church in crisis.
Yeah, it's the first segment that I did with Father Anthony last week.
yeah, literally. No, I like Forte Catholic better than that.
Well, good. I'm glad that we could both agree that Forte Catholic is a tremendous name. Okay, moving on. So, what I also thought that we would do. To continue playing this game is in our group text with the 5 of us, me and the 4 co-hosts. I asked everybody their birth month, not the day, because I don't care enough to put it in my calendar and wish them a happy birthday on it, but the month specifically for content of this show, which is all I really care about from you 4. I don't need your actual birthday to show actual genuine love, just for what I can use you for the 1 month that you give once a month when you give me an hour and a half. So I got everybody else's birth month. And how I'm going to play this is the last text that I received from each of the co-hosts and their birth month. Does that make sense?
It makes
perfect sense.
Okay.
So we're going to start with Father Anthony Sharapa. The last text in our text thread is Uh-oh. So the name of his podcast is Uh-oh, and he's in May. So, uh-oh, and other things Jesus never said.
Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. Except he probably said uh-oh when Peter started sinking.
Careful. Careful. Because he probably could have said uh-oh in a lot of places that we don't want to say because we'll get in trouble.
That's true.
Oh, man. I have a lot of funny things. Listen to it on my other podcast. Nice. A Church in Crisis. I like that a lot. I think he'd be a great host for that show. I really do.
It actually is. It would be funny. It would be one of his perfect 2-minute podcasts that he does once a week. That'd be great.
For sure. And so much more entertaining than that dumb Desert Fathers podcast he did for 3 weeks.
Yikes.
Okay. The next person on the list, we've already done you. Let's look at Olivia Newton-John. So Liv Harrison, the last text that I sent to her was glad it's been helpful. And her month is October. So hers is also glad it's been helpful. A church in crisis.
Oh, no. Yeah.
We're glad the church has been helpful in the past, but the church is in crisis.
Yikes. That's too good. That's too good. She could probably do that podcast too.
She really could. Another one that everybody would get in trouble on, for sure. We just need to, we'll do like what we do on this show. We just handle crisis 3-4 times a year. It happens every week, but I can only handle it quarterly, and I think the listeners can probably only handle it quarterly. Nobody listens to this for scoop on the church. They listen for my weird, insane insights and hopefully to laugh a little bit. They don't want to hear about a church in crisis. Unless it was last week and that people enjoyed me yelling at God for some reason. Okay. The last one is Allison. You know what I just realized, John?
What?
You're the only co-host that doesn't have their own podcast. I just realized that.
Yet.
I know you're working on it, and you keep. The only problem I have with it is you keep coming to me with running ideas by. That's not the problem. I love when you run ideas by me, and you're like, "Hey, what should I do here?" And then I answer you, and then you just make a Twitter poll about it, I'm a podcasting expert, and you're just like, Taylor's answer was stupid. Let's just ask the common folk on Twitter who obviously know a ton about podcasts.
I know. And it actually just made me more confused because you gave me one answer and then Twitter gave me another answer. Instagram gave me another one. And then TikTok gave me an overwhelming different one. So all four anyway. I still don't know what I'm doing.
You know that song, Listen to Your Heart? We're going to change it. Listen to Taylor. Cause he's smarter than them. Don't use herd immunity because they don't know what they're saying. Listen to your Taylor. Okay, last one is our good friend Allison, who I actually sat next to at a basketball game, and we were both yelling at the refs, and she whispered in my ear, we could get in a lot of trouble at sporting events together, and I agreed. So, I actually texted her last night after the basketball game.
Okay.
So I have her text here. Her birthday is in September. So here we go. Our ref is a way better comedian than Ref. A Christian hip hop discussion.
Yes.
That one doesn't really work.
No.
Let's try a different one. This was funny. So this isn't the last one. I just didn't like that one. And this is my game. I can break the rules if I want. Before last night after the basketball game, the last thing I texted her was, LOL, you're silly. A Christian hip hop discussion. That's much better.
I like that one.
Another one. No one else agrees this time, and I'm pissed. A church in crisis.
A church in crisis.
These are funny. So you guys can play along if you're listening to this and you want to start a Christian podcast because literally everybody else has one except John. The last text that you sent, January is to the glory of God. February and other secret sins, which is hilarious. And other secret sins. March, a deacon story. So you have to have a mustache to tell that one. April, I'm talking about you. Somebody in the Catholic Creatives thing was like, I think the last text they sent was like, I'm not even thinking about you. I'm talking about you. I'm like, what? That's very confusing. June, a look into Southern Baptist life. That one should be fun. July, I heard it on TBN. August, a church growth strategy. September and October, we've already done. November, overcoming church conflict. And December, mastering church live stream. So if you would like to play along in the game, just tag Forte Catholic on Twitter or tag Taylor Schroll on Instagram. And let's see your Christian podcast names. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with some other great content and John just going, yup, to end all of our discussions. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to attend Mass or another sacramental celebration in a country other than your own? What would a wedding in Uganda look like? How about a baptism in Santiago, Chile, or a funeral Mass in the Philippines? Ave explores Catholicism around the world, celebrates the cultural richness of the faith that shines throughout the globe. While the core beliefs of Catholicism are the same everywhere, this 4-week multimedia series focuses on the diversity of practices, traditions, and the health of the church in different corners of the world, in the Americas, Asia, Oceania, Africa, the Caribbean, and in Europe. Because Ave Maria Press is a ministry of the Congregation of the Holy Cross United States Province of Priests and Brothers, they share a special look at the work of Holy Cross across the 16 countries of which it serves. Check out the Ave Explorers podcast. You guys know I love this. You know I love the host, Katie Prejean McGrady. Make sure that you guys subscribe so you don't miss any of the new and exciting episodes. You can also sign up for all the free content at AveMariaPress.com or by following Ave Maria Press on social media. Ave Explores, everyday faith for everyday people. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll. That is
and I am Jonathan Blevins.
Okay. This has been very different every time that we've started the show today.
Fun.
And I love it. It's just, we're recording on a Friday. I worked my butt off the last 4 days.
Same, actually.
I have so much work to do today, but I'm mostly just like recording this, and somebody else recorded here earlier. I'm going to track practice here later. I'm going to eat with a friend that's in town. Like, I'm just going to avoid a lot of my work today, get it done tomorrow, and be like, sorry, it's a day late, you know. So that's what's happening in my world. But speaking of, like, you know, time management and discipline and all of those things, I've been thinking about something a lot recently because it's become a really big trend, especially on Instagram. Like, Instagram is kind of the place. I don't know if you'll agree, but it's like, this is the place where it's like, you know, this is what I do that's awesome, and you can all be awesome too if you do this awesome thing that I'm doing. Like, is that fair that like a lot of people on Instagram do that?
Yeah, for sure, man. It definitely has become like the influencer thing, and everyone now everyone can be an influencer if you have Instagram.
Barely knew her. So I've been seeing a lot of I've been seeing a lot of people recently talk about like their morning routines. Like, people that I like, a lot of people that do it, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. And there are even people that I like really like who have been doing this. And I got into like a little joking match with a friend of mine who I've actually mentioned already on the show, Brandon Morell, Be the Symbol, who gives us all the music for our show. Like, he texted me last night at 4:30 his time, 3:30 my time. I texted him
when you
midnight.
say last night, do you mean 4:30
this
a.m.
morning?
So that's
yeah,
morning. Okay.
yeah. So I did some I led worship for I sent him 2 videos of me leading worship for this event that he's doing, and I finished those videos at around 12 o'clock, 12:30 at night. I said, hey, what's your email so I can send them to you? And then I went to sleep. My phone's on Do Not Disturb, so it's not like he woke me up, but he texted me at 3:30 my time, which is 4:30 his time. And so I woke up the next morning and I'm like, LOL, 3:30? Like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I got up and I went to work out and I did my prayer time. And I'm just like, bud, it's 4:30 in the morning. Why are you awake? Like, this is nighttime. Like, you're supposed to be asleep at this time. And like Father Rob Galea, who's been on the show before. I love Father Rob. He's been doing this. He's like the priest who's, you know, is good at everything. He was like on Australian American Idol and once recorded this show sitting next to a dumpster and nobody cared because he's good looking. And he also like he's got his biceps are as big as my head, and my head is quite large. But he posted like, you know, morning routine, 4 o'clock in the morning, wake up and pray, then do mass, and then go work out, and then walk the dog for 3 kilometers because he says kilometers, and then, you know, breakfast, and then second workout, and then solve world hunger, and then start my day. And it's like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, dude, I'm still asleep. Like, I sleep till like 8 or 9 every day because I get my 8 hours of sleep. I go to bed at midnight or 1 and I sleep till 8 or 9, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you know, this is the way to be successful. And I'm like, I don't know. things seem to be going pretty well for me the way I've been doing them. So what are your thoughts on like, you have to do your morning routines and you got to pray in the morning, you got to work out in the morning before everybody else wakes up or you're a failure?
Yeah. It's funny that you bring this up today. And just so everyone knows, I am absolutely going to post my morning routine on Instagram now because of you, Taylor, as a way to half troll, but also just to be funny. But I've been thinking a lot about this recently because I say this to you all the time. I love TikTok. It can be a horrible place. We should do a whole episode one day on just like helping parents with TikTok because it can be a horrible place. But
a church in crisis.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. But if you follow the right people and your For You page is a good For You page and you're seeing good content and not trash content, it can be really cool. And one of the things that I see a lot of, because I have recently in the last year kind of developed this entrepreneurial spirit where I just am starting to dream real big. And anyway, so I see a lot of like people who've quote unquote made it, right? People who are very successful, who changed the world, whatever. And all of them are also talking about morning routines. And all of them go to bed obscenely early. They go to bed at like 7:30 p.m.
Nerds.
If you go, literally nerds, if you go to bed at 7:30 or 8 p.m., it's because you don't have friends. That just means nobody wants to hang out with you at night. And that's sad. And life is too short for that. But I think there's
maybe that's why they're working out at 4 a.m. because they think if they look better, they'll get friends.
It could be that. But I will say this: there is definitely something to routine, and there's definitely something to having the right amount of sleep. Like sleep has been huge. I've lost like 25 pounds. I have 30 more to go. Part of that has been.
I hope you find them soon.
I do not want to find them ever. In fact, they're right here. All these empty chips that I used to eat. Okay. No, but it's like. So I get it. Sleep is huge. And I didn't ever realize how important really getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep is. But it doesn't necessarily matter when you get it. But at the same time, as long as you can have a routine, I think that's key. As long as yes, it's important to eat well. It's important to eat breakfast. It's important to pray in the morning and at night. And sure, in between the day, but like at least those times, it's important to work out. That you will be more successful if you are doing those things. If you're getting 8 hours of sleep and you're working out and you're eating right, you're going to be more successful. I 100% believe that. But to say you have to like you see people like Gary Vee, like I get up at 4:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, and to get a head start on the day. I'm ahead of everyone else in the world. Like no, you don't have to do that because you could say the same thing if you're like, well, everyone else is sleeping at night, I'm working, right? Like I stream late at night sometimes. So routine is important. Having it be in the morning, not necessary. As long as you don't wake up at 9 a.m. though, and then you're lazy for 2 hours and lethargic because you drank beers the night before, like that's not good. But if you can get up at 9 and go to the gym and work out and eat breakfast and have lunch at 2 p.m. and that's fine.
Yeah. And you got to like my primary point right there at the end where it's like, I'm happy for people who have found a routine that works for them and they're able to be successful. They're able to get their sleep. They're able to work out. They're able to do all their work, all that kind of stuff. Right. What drives me crazy is there are a lot of people like in leadership positions, like you mentioned Gary Vee, like all these motivational speakers or people who are like life hacks and all this stuff, where it's like you have to wake up early. And I'm like, bud, like you're naturally an early morning person. Like there are people who are naturally night owls, like this guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're all different. We're all created different. And I think my biggest thing is like, just because something works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. Because like it was ironic that I saw it yesterday because I had a just tremendously successful day. Like just comparing myself to other days that I've had, and the crazy thing is I was seeing all these things when I woke up at 10 in the morning. Usually, like I said, I wake up at 8 or 9, but I've been feeling under the weather that night. My kids woke up multiple times and I was going over to their rooms and taking care of them, putting them back to sleep. So broken up sleep, all these things, right? So I went to bed at my normal time, but broken up sleep, just kind of under the weather. I got a cold. I wonder how that happened, because it was cold. But I slept till 10. Not normal, but I slept till 10 on a work day, right? So a lot of people would look at that and be like, oh, what a terrible way to start your day. How are you going to be successful that day? You know what I did yesterday?
Tell me.
I worked out for an hour with a good friend. I got up, I was on social media and like checking email for like 20 minutes. Got up, I came and I started, I edited a bunch of videos that I published for Forte Catholic yesterday. A bunch of highlight videos. I recorded the roast with Father Anthony Sharapa that went up on YouTube this week. I went and worked out. I had lunch, and then I edited audio. I produced like 5 videos for myself yesterday. I edited like 4 podcasts. I did 3 chapters of an audiobook that I'm publishing. I spent time with my family. I went to the our local, our Catholic school that I work with. I went to their basketball game with my son for the playoffs. So I was supporting the community. Came back, hung out with my wife for a bit, and then kept editing. And I edited another podcast. I got so much done yesterday on a morning that I woke up at 10 a.m. Yeah. And the thing for me is that, like, yes, there are great things that we all know to be successful. Like you listed them. Yeah, getting your sleep, balance between your time of prayer and your time of taking care of your family and your work time and like all of those things. It doesn't matter what time you're doing those things. It's one of the things that I love about my schedule now, ever since I've just been working for Forte Catholic my whole time. It's like, what do I need to accomplish today? I can put that in any time slot of the day. Mm-hmm. So like I'm interruptible. So if my wife's like, hey, I'm going to go on a walk. So then I'm like with the baby and I'll just hang out with the baby for like an hour, right? Yeah. Because I can stop and I can just make up that hour later in the day. And so I think it's one of those things that, like, the main reason I bring it up is for 2 reasons. One, if you think that your way of doing it is going to be successful for everybody and you're sharing that, you're probably wrong. On the other side, if you're on like the receiving end of the opposite of what a lot of people are saying, like I am, of like, get up at 4:30. I'm like, no, I feel rested when I sleep from midnight to 8 or 1 to 9. Like that's when I feel most rested. And I still get as much done in the day as you do. So just if you're on the receiving end of something like that, just to not feel bad because God made you the way that you are. And if you're still able to do the things that you need to do, great.
Yeah. And everyone's schedules are different. Like I'm blessed. Jody stays home with the kids. If she didn't, I'd have to get up at 6 every morning. I have to, even if I stay up late. And I'm a night owl and an early morning person. I'm a horrible human being between noon and 2. We should probably stop doing these podcasts at noon on Fridays, because that's like when I'm like zoned out. Noon to 2 is like I'm the worst. I'm just
we haven't noticed at all.
Yikes. We'll start doing these earlier or later. But seriously, like it's all depends. Everyone's different. So the whole, like you said, the routine part is important. But like I'm sure your friend who gets up at 4:30, like he probably has to for some reason, if he wants to get all the stuff he wants to get done that day. But your wife is able to be with your family, and so you're able to stay up late and sleep and get your 8 hours still and help in other ways. So do what works for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think the funniest part of this is that I had a realization last night. When I was telling my kids good night and going and hugging them and playing with them and then saying I love you and riling them up and then leaving so my wife can put the other 2 to sleep, and then I take the baby and I put her to sleep because she likes dada. I want dada is what she says adorable. At nighttime. But my kids were like, I'll see you in the morning. I'm like, that you won't. Like I'll still be asleep. Yeah. And it was just kind of funny that I realized that like a lot of people who have like great morning routines and are super successful, like don't see their kids in the morning because they wake up early and go to work. Like my dad woke up really early and went to work. Either he worked days and he started way early, 4 in the morning, or he worked nights and worked until 4 in the morning. Right. So he was never like home or he was never awake whenever we were getting ready for school. Right. But he would be there after school just about every day because he either hasn't gone to work yet or he is just getting home from work, whether he was on nights or days. And I was like, I'm just like the crazy people who wake up at 4:30. I don't see my kids before they go to school either, but I'm home when they get home. Yeah. Yeah. So it was just kind of funny. And I was just laughing at like, yeah, all of our lives are different, but like the thing, what are the things that are important to you? If you can't accomplish all of those things on the current like schedule you have for yourself, maybe you do need to make some adjustments and start listening to some people who can inspire you either way, right? But if you're accomplishing what you need to accomplish, like you're good. Your schedule's good no matter what it is, whether you wake up at 4 or go to bed at 4.
Yup.
You're the worst. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up there. We've got a couple minutes left, so we're just going to plug a couple of things. So I've mentioned a few things today. I have been, over the last 3 weeks, especially like when we didn't have power, I was still able to work on my computer. So I just in my process of working, I was like so far behind because I keep adding all these podcasts. It's great news. I love working with people who are doing their podcast. I just got my 20th person,
That's
20th
incredible.
podcast that I'm consulting with, doing editing for, doing production for, like the whole 9 yards. And because I kept adding them, I was getting behind because I hadn't gotten ahead on them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right. So I worked so hard the last 3 weeks. I'm now a week ahead, at least, on all the podcasts that I work on. So I finally had time to like work on stuff for myself. So the next 3 weeks for sure, there are 3 videos going up on YouTube every week. We're trying to build up our community over on YouTube, youtube.com/Forte Catholic, every Monday for the next 3 weeks. And some of these are already out, are highlighting a series of the 3 comedians, like professional comedians that we've had on the show. So last week was Aaron Weber. This week was Jeremy McClellan. Next week.
What?
Yeah, he's been on the show twice.
He's my favorite. Keep going.
Next week is David Studebaker. So that's on Monday. We've got comedy on Monday. We've got our regular show on Wednesdays. And then every Friday, we've got something else special happening. So the roast of Father Anthony this past week. And over the next 2 weeks, those songs that I recorded them right here. Really the like first time recording with this setup, me leading worship. So that's like on the internet. Like people don't know that I sing. I haven't sang in a month, so it's kind of rough, but check it out. So over on youtube.com/Forte Catholic, we're putting out more than just the show every week. So we'd appreciate your support over there. John, you got anything special going on this week you want to point people to?
Well, your YouTube channel, Forte Catholic, I just subscribed.
You haven't been subscribed. You're such a bad friend.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I never, ever watch YouTube. Ever. I've never gotten into it in my whole life. Like people are like, they just watch it and then another video pops up allegedly. I didn't even know that. And they keep watching it. That has never been me. But now I'm going to watch a bunch of these. I'm in some of them.
You're in. Yes. Every one a month. What a commercial for YouTube. Be better than John and sign up for YouTube today. YouTube.com/Forte Catholic. I'll be back next week. Say it.
See ya.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's show. I hope that you enjoyed listening and watching as much as we enjoyed making it. Again, if you enjoy the show, hit that subscribe button. And whether you're watching on YouTube or you're not, we have so much going on over the past few weeks and the next few weeks, especially on YouTube. Not only do we have weekly shows and the roast of Father Anthony that we talked about, we've got podcast highlights, we've got talks, we've got 2 new cover songs releasing on the next 2 Fridays. You guys got to check it out. We've been doing this podcasting thing for years, but we're new in the YouTube game. So come help us out, and I hope that you guys enjoy it over there. Have a great rest of your week. You guys are awesome. Love you. Bye.